Well, hello everyone. Here we are, beautifully together again. And I'm so grateful to have someone that I think and feel is one of the most beautiful and I think most powerful people in my life I've ever met in terms of this work that we're doing around the world. And I'm really excited to have Sister Jenna here, Sister Dr. Jenna, I should say. And I am so grateful for so many reasons, but I think ultimately what I love and what I'm so grateful for in this moment is I feel like we've been prepared for these times, and it's up to us to sort of I think bring light to I think a world that needs light. And I really feel that we are living out our dharma and our destiny in many ways right now to create community again, all over again in many ways in a new world that's blooming. So we're here to have a conversation, and Sister Dr. Jenna, welcome.
Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Paul Luftenegger.
You know, I have so much to share about that very thing, but we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah. So how are you today?
I can't complain. I was telling you before we came on, and you were asking about my intention for us being together. I think you and I know every time we come together, something beautiful happens. That's one. But secondly, you've also reached me at a point in my life where I am even dismantling and breaking down myths that I had already broken down a while back, but even breaking down the deeper roots of those myths and becoming more, what's the word,
Hmm.
more accessible in my consciousness,
Yes.
in flowing more with everything in life and paying more attention to certain words that I speak. Like I won't say anything is wrong anymore. I'll say, there's a better way I could have done that.
Mm.
So I'm moving more into that space.
Beautiful. What I think is really interesting about this particular, I would say, meeting today with you and I is that we have it started out with you actually asking me to be on your show, and we've come around this full circle where you're now on mine. And
Yay.
everything becomes full circle again, and around and round we go. And I think what's really beautiful about this is you're probably one of the if I really were to look at my life and the things that have changed, you have made such an impact on my life in a way that I think until today I hadn't really put all together. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you. I know that I wouldn't be the doctor that I've just become in ministry if it weren't for you, because the way that that aligned was by your service to me in your I would say your humility of just service. And I really want to thank you for that because I said to you a long time ago now, it feels like lifetimes ago, that I feel like sometimes being a solo person in this sort of arena of, new thought, if you will, or soul consciousness, God consciousness, I sometimes feel alone. And you've given me this, on a stool, there's those three legs, and I feel like I got the fourth from you, just to make me stable. And I get a little shaky at times, so I just really thank you for holding the stability of community that is around the world with what you
Mm.
offered me. So if you're tuning into this, just pay attention, because Sister Jenna is a force to be reckoned with, is what I said to myself before coming here. And I'm excited for you because the world needs you. The world really needs you right
Mm.
now. So that said, let's dive into your book, because this is where
Mm.
you're at right now. So I bought a copy of this from Amazon, and I
Oh,
made,
good.
I made it,
Congratulations.
but I made a very specific point to read this very current. So I finished this officially last night. I wanted to just have it fresh in my
Mm.
awareness, in my conscience. And when I finished it last night, what I loved that happened is I cried. I didn't expect it was very beautiful because it was a different kind of cry.
That's what that book has been doing, Paul.
Yeah, and the way
It's
that it
unusual.
ends, the way that it
Yeah.
ends was the part that really touched me. And I won't give it away with how it ends, but I feel like at the end of this, it all comes together in service, let's just say.
Yeah.
And I think because you've served me and so many, it really, I don't know, it did something to my DNA to read your words at the end of this book after everyone's words that are in it. So let me just ask you where this book came from and how it sort of came to be, the
Mm,
seed of it.
really. Well, firstly, thank you for sharing those things from the heart. And I want everyone to know that for many, many years, I've had the addiction of pushing back
Mm,
blessings from people and their affection or their love for me, thinking that it was going to serve the ego because I am who I am because of God's light. So, who deserves the praise is Baba. And as I've matured, and especially this last year or two, I'm beginning to feel the alignment with the both. Like, thank you.
mm,
I'm accepting that now. And believe it or not, it's been 30 years.
yes.
So I'm accepting it without the arrogance. I'm accepting it to keep me motivated to say, I really am born in this incarnation to serve
Mm,
and to just really raise souls up so that they can fulfill their call. And I feel it, it's in my system. Wherever I go, whoever I meet, I want to see them thrive, maybe because I want to thrive.
mhm,
Maybe, I don't know, but I'm sure it's definitely God's light, Baba's energy working through me. And you will hear me make reference to God as Baba because I wanted to humble my heart more
mm,
and more. So, regarding the book, Ariel from Sacred Stories Publishing approached me about maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago
mhm,
and to suggest that she would like me to do this book on meditation. She was doing a series of books from her Common Sentience series, and mine would be the second one.
mhm,
And I declined, and she was persistent and she circled back. And thanks to Antonia,
mhm.
she's the one that's always like, I think you should do this. I says, who's going to read a book on meditation? There are 100 books on meditation, and she was like, but I think this is good. You
Mm,
can talk about your intimate relationship with the divine and you'll be inviting friends on board. And that's what I did. I invited you too. I don't think you were able to submit story in it, but I did send out an invitation to many of you to be a part of the journey because I know you're all having such deep mystical experiences, but
mhm,
sometimes you can't find the words to really share what you're going through.
mm,
So she circled back and I said yes. And here we are today on Paul's amazing YouTube channel
yes.
talking about our mystical experiences.
Well, I love how you set this up because it's interesting. I think I do remember receiving something from you, but somehow
Mm,
it didn't. I don't know. I must not have seen it the way that I needed to, or perhaps I wasn't meant to be in this way. But I
maybe.
have to say, I'm glad in a way I wasn't. For one reason, I got to be just a viewer of something that it would have been very different if I was in it. So in a way, it was and is perfect the way that it is. So
As it
I'm
is, yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
glad that I got to experience it sort of, as a witness, if you will.
Of
It,
course.
it meant a lot because I know quite a few of these people in this book and how it's written. So the way it starts off with you sharing your intimacy with God in the call that you've had, it really resonated with me, and it gave me a perspective of you that I've known, but it was nice to hear your words in a writing that was very intimate with my soul in a way that was just in the privacy of life, in that
Hmm.
way. So I really, I loved curling up on my couch with a blanket and reading the start of this book and how you, I think, usher in, I think, just your intimacy and your beautiful
Mm.
joy too. You mix it beautifully. So that really touched me the way this started. And yeah.
It's so funny. Today I was conducting a meditation class, and numbers are fine, it doesn't matter. But this morning in particular, a lot of the students didn't show up, not because of anything positive or negative. And this was online. And what happens when you get the same thing over and over again every day, you begin to take it for granted.
Mhm,
And as I sat on the dais and I was thinking that, I just want to liberate souls so that they don't fall into that trap of the old, where you're only running to someone for power, or the person has to give you the blessings to feel that, they're significant, or I have to show you a very dominant energy in me to
Mm.
keep you under so that you start to pull from me and I pull from you
Right.
because you're in that subservient state. And I don't teach that at all.
Mm.
You know, I really love to see souls using their own thinking, but developing that in a way that makes the world better, and that we can do that as a team or as a collective. And as I sat this morning, I just said to Baba, it's okay. Of course, I'm in a different market. It's like that 1 or 2% of the billionaires in the world. It's just a different cup of tea.
Yeah.
You know, there's a mass number of individuals who want to follow, who want to do, who want to mimic, who wish to copy. I want to see people authentic like you, people who are working on that deeper call, and it, you know, when you're connected to the divine, it becomes such a unique and beautiful expression that it's serving you first. And then whoever's in your field, isn't that a bonus?
Yes.
You know,
Mhm.
it becomes a bonus. And I feel that I was listening to Clark, Bishop Carlton Pearson.
Mhm.
He's a very good friend of mine. He has even dropped Bishop from his name now.
Yes.
And he says he's seeing so much of the illusion that has been taking place over, you know, decades, centuries. And he's realizing it's time for us to turn inwards and do the work and make that connection to source. And that's what we have been doing. And
Yes.
you know, that's been our teachings with the Brahma Kumaris, to
Mhm.
go inside, forget institutions, forget religions, forget gurus, forget prophets, forget leaders.
Yes.
Go inside,
Mm.
establish your link to the source. And with that energy, your community will find you
Mm.
because you're resonating at that level, because you can't do it alone,
Yes.
but you will find that
Interesting.
community.
I want to sort of dive in to say something about that too, because one of the things that you gave to me that was such a gift, which I really needed at that particular time, was the ability to be with God alone from my inside. And, you know, I think being raised Catholic or Christian the way that I was, and many people obviously are, and I recognized I needed I think just the independence of my soul with God without a mediator. And what I love that I didn't know when we met originally, that I was going to be strengthened in that way. And perhaps I like the word remember. I was given
Thank you.
I think the memory of, I think actually the more natural state is within my own relationship with God or Baba or Source. And it really changed. So I really love that you just touched on that, because when you go within, you have a relationship waiting for you, that's been waiting patiently. Baba's
Yeah.
very patient.
You know, this pandemic has been quite an eye opener for many of us, and where we were so distracted from ourselves and allowing those scaffolding or decorations on the outside of the cake to seem like it had more weight and more power than
Mhm.
the substance of the ingredients and the substance of your true self. The pandemic really forced you to look if your life has been really authentically yours.
Mm.
So a lot of people are changing careers, they're changing partners, they're changing their minds, they're changing everything, because no more of that energy of illusion
Mhm.
is being fed. And what I love about it, and as uncomfortable as it might be,
Mhm.
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Move into the discomfort and observe the change that wants to come towards you.
Well said. I love that, and it's very true. And it's we're not there yet, but we're getting. I think
Mm.
we're far enough outside of when it started that we're starting to recognize, that something's happened, and it's still happening, and we have a ways to go, but it's certainly changed, and the shift is well underway. So well said.
I'll, I'll tell you one thing that I'm seeing much clearer now than I saw of 2, 3 years ago is the illusion of the media,
Hmm.
the illusions, the way they package individuals and brand them for our eyes to see, to buy into. But also, I'm watching how the characters that are in that industry wondering at what point will they also wake up and just be real as well for themselves and for us. But acting is an art and it is a profession, one that I love dearly with all of my heart. And so, of course, I don't mind sitting in front of the screen and really sinking into a beautiful, meaningful story that helps me to recognize myself. But
Mhm.
when the whole thing is all about, trying to manipulate me to give you my energy so that you make a lot of money, and
Yes.
then you become so famous that even if I come to you for an interview or a signature, you're like looking at me like I've got the wicked thing on you. It's like, oh my God, didn't I make you famous? You mean to tell me you just can't call me?
Yeah.
So the whole thing is that you're looking at it, you scroll through social media, you go up and down, and you see it's all an illusion. It's not even real.
Yes.
And the real essence, the real thing is like your latest album, The Spears of Love, where one of the tracks where God make me an instrument.
Mhm.
I mean, that just couldn't get any more beautiful, Paul.
Yes. Thank you.
That you can feel that inside yearning to reconnect and to come alive again. And I think that's what everybody is trying to reconnect to and remember.
Mhm. Well said. And the thing that I want to just even amplify on that, that's so, I think COVID and the whole pandemic has changed everything about fame and celebrity. And my question has always been, and I'm getting more strength, I think, to say it out loud, is, many people are famous. I think there's more famous people today than ever. But what I think is really interesting is, what are you famous for, is my question. And for me, I want to be famous for something good. And I've recognized it's taken 11 years. I feel like an 11-year-old child right now. It's taken me 11 years to get to here, but I'm almost a teenager, and I'm starting to get, I can finally feel like I've got some really good understanding about being famous for something good. And my goal is, when I look back at my life from the other side, or from my soul perspective, well beyond this paradigm or this realm, I want to look back that I helped the light of God be seen and understood within. And I think that's what you do. I think there's so many of us here incarnated right now doing that work. So I thank you for just sharing that part of celebrity and the media and news, and just how that shifted, because it's true.
And I feel like the conversation about becoming famous or becoming a celebrity, there's nothing wrong with it. My only wish is
Mhm.
to maybe invite celebrities to step out of the self serving vortex and begin to use your platform to help to eradicate poverty, to help to eradicate sex trafficking, to help to eradicate certain things that are going on that's an injustice in our countries around the world, because people listen to you. And even if they're accustomed to hearing, the Justin Biebers, the singing, and the Lady Gagas, and they love it, then find a way to blend both and just say, okay, now we're ready. Let's go and everybody send $1 to Ukraine. Everybody, let's see if we can open up a school for a child in Peru, in Puerto Rico. You know what I'm saying?
Totally, absolutely.
If every celebrity that has a position of fame actually think that now when they reach that stage, they're now entering the stage of seva, of service, the world would be so much, much more kinder
Yes.
and a lot more easier. Did you remember in America, we had a president here before the current president, no celebrities went to the White House.
Yeah.
It has never happened that nobody from Hollywood or the entertainment industry visited the White House during a complete presidency.
Wow.
And I remembered how, I don't know if it was quiet or eerie, I don't know what the real word was, but there wasn't that life, energy, living truth. Without the arts, the world is no longer going to have the fragrance of beauty.
Yes.
Art brings beauty in the world.
Mhm.
And so when I see individuals in that role, I think it's wonderful. My only invitation now, make your life one of seva. Did you hear about the recent situation that happened at the Oscars where one of the participants, Will Smith, slapped one of the presenters, and it became big thing about this and that, but in all reality, it shows the breaking points we're all at. That we can be in such positions of influence,
Mhm.
and we're still breaking on the inside. And that poor soul performed such an act. I don't even know how he's doing right now
Yeah.
or what he must be going through,
Yeah. That
but
was
the
really,
impact that made.
yeah, it was. I remember Corey, actually, my husband. For those that don't know that are watching, I know you do, Sister Jenna. But
Oh, he's
for those
gorgeous.
that don't know, my husband actually brought it to my attention the next morning. We didn't watch the Oscars, and it was just, when you first hear something like that, it's gripping, and it just, like, it's almost, you can't even believe that such a thing could happen. But I think ultimately, when you sort of, like, stabilized what did happen, I think you just recognize it's just a bit of a mess. And I think the beauty of it is, it can be cleaned up by just, really, quite frankly, saying what you've just shared there. And, it's to reflect upon it and contemplate it.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the deeper messaging, if you're really looking at it from an ultra spiritual perspective,
Mhm.
it's almost as if the universe or the drama sacrificed Will Smith to make him play that scene, to take us more inside of ourselves, to ask what's going on with us.
Well said. Yeah.
How are we?
And I know, did you see Serena, and did you see the movie that,
I did on the flight heading to Thailand. It was
wow,
beautiful.
it's a
The story
beautiful
was
movie.
absolutely
I
beautiful
was
story.
so moved by that movie, and we watched it, just a couple of weeks before the Oscars. So it was really interesting, to have this beautiful movie that shares the story of Serena and Venus Williams, who are, Serena's one of my favorite athletes in the world. I love her so
Mm.
much for so many reasons. But I think it's just so interesting that there's so much going on around that whole story
Yeah.
with them as well. So I felt for them as well in that too, and I had a lot of compassion for just, it took light away from what should have been such a glory moment. But it's,
Yeah.
it's to contemplate what happened and why we got there, and I'm still contemplating.
Again, that super ultra spiritual way of looking at things, you've made a powerful point. Can you imagine that that movie had so much value in it
Yes.
and there was so much character being described?
Hmm.
But then the drama is like, I'm going to sort of delete that because this is more important. Look at what's happening to our humanity. Look at what's happening inside of yourself.
Yes.
Can you discern what just took place and what that represented in you?
Hmm. Well said.
It's so interesting. So it's like bigger than even just an individual. It's something so powerful about this time.
Well said. So, well, just shifting gears, because I want to make sure that we have enough time to do a couple of things, that I set up something that's fun. So I have a slideshow. So I'm going to switch.
You're
I'm going to switch over to this slideshow right now.
going
And
to show us memories of back in the day?
yes, so I'm excited about this because we have this beautiful history. So I've put this
Oh.
together so we can see it together and share in it. And I love this. So I've put it through a flow. Let's just see where the conversation goes from here. So, first of all, again, we're focusing in on this beautiful new book. I suggest that you check your local bookseller or Amazon and definitely order this. And I have a copy of it. It's a beautiful gift to hold in your hands because so many souls are involved in this book, which I love about it. Because I do want to say one thing about it before we move on, is that I loved it in a way that I didn't expect it at all. Like, it really surprised me, because when people share their private inner space with the outer world, which is sort of similar to my music, right? Like, it's very private with me and God first. That's the deal. And it comes from there first, but then it goes out to the world, and then it gets to go to someone else's inside space, their soul inside. That's why I love music. But what you gave in this book, with all the beautiful writers that are in this, that share their intimacy of the inside, is that I got to feel it on my inside, different than a normal book. That's why it's so powerful, I think. So thank you to every writer that took the time to write their intimacy from within their soul, because that is a power that's gorgeous. So kudos to you for doing this, Dr. Sister Jenna. So moving on here. So I have put some pictures here that I just love. So this is on our first meeting on the left. This was the first America Meditating Retreat that I was so unsure what to expect. And these were some of those pictures when we first met, on the left, of the screen. And then we were, I can say that we were in Washington, D.C. together, which was, I mean, I can say that I worked in Washington with you, which is fun.
Yeah, and you had your mom there too.
Yes. And then
Yeah.
this is such a beautiful picture. I just had to begin with this because look at
Oh,
those eyes and the soul behind them. Look at that beautiful soul beaming to us. Thank you for just all of your service.
thank
And
you.
this is, I had to put my favorite picture. Corey had this blown up for me, but it's one of my favorite moments in India with you.
Oh, wow. That's such a picture, isn't it?
It's just gorgeous. And that's who you are. You know, you brought me along as little did I know what we were getting into to go to India, but it was a month of beauty that, you know, I grew so much from going to India. And I'm so glad I got to see India with you. That was such a gift. And this was such a cool moment. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had to put this in because Oprah was the start of my journey. And this moment, I can imagine for you, was quite powerful, to be in that space. So, I just wanted to ask you, you know, how was that moment with this particular beautiful
Service.
soul?
It was service. We said, I'm here to serve. I remembered specifically, I had just told her there, I'm here to serve, so please let me know whatever's needed.
Mm,
And that's when she put her hand on her heart. And it's interesting, Antonia again comes to the rescue.
right.
They had sent me like 2 or 3 invitations. I didn't respond. And then, Antonia and I went for a walk, and then I got a call, and they said, we've sent you these invitations. You have not responded. And I went, I don't want to go. I mean, is it really just for me? Is it, I don't know who this, we would really want you to come. You've been a good force in the belief. So then I said, well, I won't come unless I'm able to bring someone with me or my assistant, which was Antonia. And we ended up going to her home, having a wonderful time, meeting a lot of individuals who was behind the Belief series. And that was another invitation, guys, project that I was invited on. And I was like, no, I just don't have any time for these things. And then Antonia says, sister, I think this would be good for you. And I was like, okay.
Thank God for Antonia. Well said.
Oh,
Beautiful.
really? Thank God for her, I tell
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
seriously.
so that was a
Truly
very special moment. Yeah.
beautiful. Well, I love this picture. You know, a picture worth 1,000, I think 1,000,000 words, right there. So beautiful. So I have to say, not too many people can claim this, but no, not too many people have a beautiful, well, meditation music
RV.
RV. Yeah, and I had to put it in just for fun because this is just cool. You know, this is a cool yogi here.
Yeah, we go around town with that. I mean, during the pandemic, not as much, but we've taken that to Miami and back
Well, I had to put it
from
in,
Washington.
and I love it. It's just a beautiful conversation, waiting to be had by I'm sure so many people. So
You know how many times we've been on the road and we'll hear somebody maybe pull over next to us, or they'll say, you are what you think. Hmm, I'm going to think about that.
fantastic. I love it.
That was lovely,
So
Paul. Thanks. Oh,
absolutely. So I had to bring in beautiful Daddy here, Daddy Denki, and this is just, you know, this is such a celebration of, the Brahma Kumari. And I have to say, when I first was introduced to the BKs, as we call the Brahma Kumaris, which, you know, I'm so grateful to have learned. I was thinking about the fact that I'm an interfaith minister, but really what's interesting about this now is that what I think is so fascinating is you are an interfaith supporter, really. And if I have learned anything from you above all things, is that you honor all, really all
mm,
souls. No matter what your faith is, no matter what your tradition is, you honor the soul. And I think, that's the thing that I just wanted to say out loud today, and just make sure that that is shared globally with whomever's tuning in live or on a replay here, that they understand that that's what the BK or the Brahma Kumaris do, interfaith love, because that's
we
really
need that.
what it is, and
We
it's
need that.
yeah.
We need that. I mean, at first, with your physical eyes, it looks like another organization. People are all in white. There's structure, there's a routine. And with your naked eyes, it just looks like something similar. But when you go beyond that and you go behind your eyes and you begin to sink into the philosophy, you realize, oh my goodness, this is much bigger than what I'm seeing with my two eyes. And yes, it is a spiritual wisdom for all traditions and all kinds of souls.
Well, one thing I have to just add too is thank God you have structure because sometimes I have none. So thank you.
That's what makes it really important, because what the structure does, it harnesses the power that you're pulling in your meditation. When there isn't structure, sometimes the power leaks out here and there.
Well said. So thank you for
Yeah.
having structure, and to every BK, thank you. I also wanted to just put this in. I actually was blessed to meet well, Pope John Paul II. And I just thought that this was such a cool moment that I saw, that I just had to put in, because this, again, a picture worth thousands and millions of words of light and love and power, with God. So just a beautiful picture there.
Yeah.
And then it's interesting because I've sort of, I think the next person that I'm going to have on here after Nancy Regan, who's next, so I guess two interviews away from you, is actually someone that has worked with the Dalai Lama, has written a book with him. So I'm excited to share more about that. But I just saw this and I just thought the world is really connected. Everything's connected to everything, isn't it?
Yes,
So
yes,
there's
indeed.
Daddy, and just a beautiful moment there. Now, I just put a couple of quick pictures here with just to share love, and this was a cool moment. And
Our sweet brother Mithanjaya, he came all the way from India for the Stand Up for Humanity event, that Unity of Washington, D.C., by our wonderful, sweet, amazing friend, Reverend Sylvia Sumter, and her congregation put on for us. That was a beautiful day, wasn't it?
yes, it really was, and it was the perfect weather. I've never had a moment like that in my life, but I also think that it's very cool that Reverend well, Sylvia Sumner is actually in the book, and also when I was in India with you, she asked me to do this event, and then it came into manifest. So I was asked on the mountain in India to do this event, which I just think is really cool,
Yeah,
that it happened. And I love his button there that says "I will stand up for humanity," and we all did that day. And I'm so
we sure
thankful that
did.
we did that before the pandemic, because it's been a strength for me through this moment. So this is our what we were looking at from, and the idea was to hold a light as the sun set, which is to remind you of your soul light, which I thought was so cool. That was quite a picture. Now, I have to tell you, when I travel the world, whenever I go anywhere, I just want to say thank you for this, because this is yours. And I paraphrased this, but I think that I got this right. But this is what's in my heart from you. And no one can take away your joy unless you let them. Thank you.
Yes, every show I do, I end with this. No one can take away your happiness unless you give them permission.
Yeah, there you go. And so whenever I get a little rocky in the world and a little down or whatever's going on, becoming the fool is what I like to say. I remind myself of this from you. So thank you for this mantra.
I love it. I love it.
And so this is the way that the book starts, and I thought this was a good way to begin this as well, is just a time to choose. And we find ourselves right now in the age of great transformation, one of the most consequential moments in human history. These are indeed the times that the great prophets and seers throughout the millennia have spoken about. And you couldn't be more right, I don't think, here. So I wanted to just ask you to just expand on where your heart's at with this.
I think my heart is exactly what the seers and prophets had predicted hundreds and thousands of years ago. You know, when the prophets came on the stage of this world drama, this scene, we needed a lot of help. We were becoming away from our virtues and values with each other. We were needing to feel a sort of a tribal connection to our cultures, our language, our geography. And so it was interesting how the universe and the destiny sort of selected these special souls, whether it was Abraham, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Guru Nanak, and all the others that have come thereafter, to sort of help to remind us, don't you remember, follow these guidelines. Here are some commandments.
Mhm.
Here are chapters in the Bhagavad Gita that you must comply by to live a wholesome life or to not forget who you are.
Mm. Oh,
So fast forward, right? Fast forward 2,000 years, 3,000 years later, and we've moved so far away
mm,
from the sincerity and the intimacy of the power of those words,
mm,
that now there's a sense that only God now can really help us, not even a creation.
mm,
So you're seeing churches, over 30 churches are closing every month.
wow.
Um, s- Institutions, organizations where people gathered no longer are carrying that energy of sense of I can sustain and uplift you anymore.
Mm,
So the dismantling of the religions or the places of worship that we're so used to, that is actually happening now, is a good thing, because now the soul has to turn inwards and
mm,
have that intimate link to God, to the source,
mm,
just like Buddha did, Abraham, Jesus, Muhammad, and so on.
mm,
So if they had that intimate link with Baba, with God, and as a result of the intimate connection in silence, in meditation, in prayer, the words, the wisdom, the knowledge was coming forth through them, and we were receiving that. We are now in the era where we are all of these prophets and saints. And we now have this ability to allow the energy of God to enter our consciousness and bring forth the wisdom of life. God is here now. I don't question that one bit.
mm,
And the reason why I have proof that God has descended is that I've met so many beautiful children.
mm, mm,
You, and so you've met so many at the BKs.
mm,
Their personality emanates sacredness, purity, charity, love, power, service. These are all signs
mm,
that somewhere, somehow, God descended, and that child is now learning from the source directly. So now I'm seeing that God is here, and I'm wondering, can everyone else see that?
yes.
So that you can
Beautiful.
transform that evil into beauty. I mean, what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, in our hearts, we would say that shouldn't be happening, but it is. So, what is it saying to me? There's an absence of Baba's light. So now we've got to bring Baba's light into the right mindset so that folks can stop playing these silly games with each other.
Mm. Beautifully said, and I think so timely to just. I'm very grateful that we're capturing this in a recording that people will really be able to have a moment with what you've just shared. That's very beautifully said and so articulate to exactly how I feel. And I remember someone saying to me a long time ago. I had called someone an angel, and she reminded me that. Paul, only angels see angels. And here's the thing that I know to be true is when you seek something that is angelic, or when you amplify, like a microphone, when you amplify something that's good and angelic, what happens is that same vibration surrounds you. And we are starting to get it here on earth a lot more than we have in the past. And as we hold hands together, this change really happens from every single person that you meet as you seek love, as you are the
Yeah.
love. And that mirroring of heaven on earth starts to happen. So you beautifully just said that. So thank you for just the power of that.
Yeah. I've noticed that if I bump into anyone they're just not being themselves,
Mhm.
either the ego is there, the attachment, the greed, the jealousy, the competition, I know that at that moment, Baba is not present in their hearts. So what I'm getting from that soul is the sum total of all the trauma that they've been through.
Yep.
That's what I'm in front of at the moment. And when I am in that stage and I am not being virtuous, I can see the sum total of all my trauma coming through to the others. And then I remember, let me remember Baba's light.
Mhm.
That's not what Baba wants from me. That's not who he has reminded me that he's made me. And
Mhm.
so I bring back and I recalibrate my consciousness back to the angel consciousness, back to the deity state of consciousness, and then just transform what just took place.
Mhm.
So the beautiful thing about the era that we're in, it seems as if the universe for now, I don't know how long it will give us, but we're all being given second chances to redo it
Mm-hmm.
so it gets better, So take advantage that if you find yourself in a situation or in a relationship and it's not working and it didn't come out right, it didn't come out right through your words, it didn't come out right through the way you looked at them through your eyes, you have a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better way I could have done that? There
Beautiful.
will always be a better way to do it.
So good. Thank you. I love that. I'm going to just ask you this too, because I had this ready. So, who am I is your famous, your famous and the famous, beautiful statement. And I just love that I just got to write on a blank piece of paper right here, who am I? And let's ask the audience, who are you? And I think it's a powerful question to ask right now. So, I think that's perfect after what you just shared. And I want to ask you, Sister Jenna, who are you, Sister Jenna?
A friend to many. I really wish to keep inspiring souls always, but deep down behind even all of that, I know I am a soul. I know this soul has been through quite a journey for birth after birth, and I know that the energy of the soul is immortal and eternal and imperishable. And with that said, it has made me become more cautious about the recordings I wish to put inside of me.
Mhm.
Because if I'm lasting forever, then I want to make sure there's joy left in me,
Yes.
you know?
That's a great
So,
note to self. Yes, note to self. Thank you very much for
right?
that. I'm
So be
into
conscientious of choosing your battles and choosing what thoughts you want to nurture inside of yourself so that you're forever living with your own company is going to be enough.
beautiful. I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that. So here's the question that I have. I think ultimately I'm starting to understand what my YouTube channel is going to be about, and it's this very simple and complicated question is how do we create heaven on earth? And I think you've answered it actually already. So you knew what was coming, I think, here already. So you were in the future just a moment ago, and here we are in the
Yeah.
now.
Heaven on earth will happen when you are no longer energetically in that human identity only of yourself.
Mm,
That I'm only black, I'm only white, I'm only gay, I'm only straight,
mm,
I'm only American, I'm only Indian. That's a role you're playing at this time. But if you want to really create heaven on earth, become so conscious and let the purity, which is your greatest power, emerge as you play the role as a black person, a white person, a gay person, a straight person, a Republican, a Democrat, an American, a Chinese, an Indian. Let the purity in your soul, which will come from the feeling of your connection to God, emerge and come to full life. And then when you're relating and dealing with everyone, it's like heaven on earth
yes.
because people are in that state of awareness. You saw it on the mountaintop in Mount Abu, India,
I should
how everybody was pulling Baba's energy. So everywhere you turned, you could see there was a little heaven over here. There was a little heaven over there.
Yeah, and for anyone that's just tuning in that's not really quite there yet or quite understanding this, I think ultimately the best way to sort of say this, in my understanding, is that we are just, like you had said, a vehicle a long time ago. We are just a vehicle. We are an instrument, it's been said. And in order to do that, after my dad died, I had to figure out what I was going to do, and it was bringing in the divine. So every day, bring in the divine. That's the spiritual practice. Begin it in the morning, end with it at night, and try to do it throughout the day if you get a bit rocky. And just take a moment at a time, a day at a time. So I just wanted to add that to your beautiful, beautiful.
No, it's perfect. In the Brahma Kumaris, we do a practice known as traffic control. So
Yes.
you set your smartphone every hour on the hour. You can write in the label section an affirmation that you'd like to serve throughout that day or throughout that week. So when your phone goes off every hour, just commit
Mhm.
10, 15, 20 seconds of remembrance of the one and of your original nature, and be patient. Everything is going to work out for you, and it'll be better than you've ever imagined. And
Mhm.
so that traffic control is actually a very natural way of preparing the soul to walk into its power and freedom.
Mhm. Beautiful. All right, so next here, I just want to say this is who you are to me, as you, Sister Dr. Jenna, are one of the most beautiful, giving, loving, generous souls I've ever been blessed to meet on this precious heavenly earth. I claim heaven as much as I can every day on earth, so you're definitely in my heaven. So thank you very much. And
I'm receiving it. I'm receiving it.
good.
And I am receiving it. Thank you.
Beautiful. And so I just wanted to just put this up and just sort of
Hmm.
just say thank you for the why I think and feel your heaven and know your heaven is just essentially, traveling to India with you, singing my music on Mount Abu in India and meeting
Hmm.
Daddy Janki. Marco Breton passed away, transitioned a couple of years ago now. And I just, the world is always shifting and just to allow it to shift. I don't think it's broken. I just think that we need to remember that with love, it blooms, it blooms the greatest blooms. So thank you for these moments. I like to say this, and you're one of the sunshine people to me. Is just stay close to
Hmm.
people who feel like sunshine. You are my sunshine. So thank you.
Hmm. Thank you.
This is the other part of this. I just want to say is that love is really everything, and everything is connected to everything. So with love, we create something that is beautiful and lasting. So I'm learning still. I have a long way to go. I'm a fool at times, but I'm getting there. And I just thought I'd put this up just as a visual for us. It's just I am. And you get to fill in the blank. You get to say what you are. So, work on that. And just some beautiful light pictures. This is the beautiful Peace
Peace
Village.
Village.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it all started for me when I met you for the first time on this earth, this way, this incarnation. This was the moment, and I
On that
remember,
mountaintop. Yeah.
I remember walking up these steps the first time, and is it 400 acres? I don't know, 400 acres?
300
300.
acres.
And
Yeah.
it's in the Catskill Mountains, and you know, I can't thank you enough for just this first meeting because it has stabilized me. And, if anybody wants to look up you that doesn't know your work or the Brahma Kumaris, you're an excellent resource. And I encourage you to do so. And I'm going to put your website up on this for other people that maybe don't know about you and to learn about everything that they can about the offerings that you have. And I just want to say something too about this because, in my rockiness, I just, I, right before, this is how God works. Okay. So, right before I was going to surprise Louise Hay to sing for her, it happened to be just a few days before we were ending our retreat. So, it fit in this little perfect nook to get a little support before I went on a big stage where I was scared because I get scared. I'm a scaredy cat at times of the world. And it was so beautiful, and you really helped me in this moment be able to bring my greatest strength with Baba, with God, with
Good.
Source. So I just want to say thank you. And this moment wouldn't have been the way that it was without your work or your support. So if anybody's needing support or some nourishment that maybe they're not getting elsewhere, I think perhaps look into Sister Jenna. I think you might find something that's there waiting for you. And these are just some fun moments that have happened because of you, because of your.
That's at the UN there, that wonderful thing you did. Was that for International Day of Yoga?
Yeah, so this is our friend Denise, as you well know, and this
Yeah.
is in the UN chapel that sort of faces with this all-seeing eye over to the main building,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
was so beautiful in that chapel, and that
Yes.
wouldn't have happened. This is on Baba's Rock in India, and
Wow.
all of this happened
Beautiful.
because of you. So
Mm.
thank you again for just this happened because of you.
Oh,
Me
that was
meeting
lovely.
your
With
sister
Sister
this.
Shivani, Bruce Lipton.
So this was a very powerful moment because of you. So again, there's your powerful soul in
Yeah.
how this happened. This was in
Yeah.
India with our beautiful crew that all went together because you invited us. You know, beautiful moment. In this was at the end of the retreat. Actually, we took this, and God, it was good. It
That
was
was
really
something
good.
else, huh?
Yes, it was so beautiful
Such
there.
a beautiful group of souls.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to say this, as we sort of, as I'm going to close the PowerPoint down, but just, I love you, Sister Jenna, and thank you for being in my life. I know that I wouldn't have been able to do this ministry of this evolving doctorate that I really want to build and support community, and we are friends in that way. And Reverend Stacy is sort of the how because I met her because of you, but she was in this seminary. And, that's the way God works is that when you start showing up, God starts showing
Yeah.
up for you, right? Like this is what happens. It's just, it takes a little bit of getting used to at the beginning. There's an inertia at the beginning. Like I felt the wiggly inertia at the beginning. But if you just make the commitment, God showed me in 2011 to be love, expanding love from my heart. And when you do that, rather than getting your mind questioning that, just recalibrating with love, expanding love, love starts showing up in your life to experience. And I just want to say thank you for 11 years of nutritional understanding and support
Mm.
because I was allowed and able to do this because of you. So thank you. And it wouldn't have happened without you.
Mm. Well,
Um,
definitely, when we come into each other's lives, our energies will kind of shift and turn us around. And again, I bring it back to Baba that if it wasn't for Baba, I wouldn't even be doing this. And so it's actually Baba through me calling you to
yes.
go do that. And I love playing this role of just bringing souls to a higher level of existence. It's
Oh,
really why I get up every morning.
I thank God for you. So I wrote this
Mm.
I just wanted to read this out loud for anybody that's tuning in. Is just always remember you don't meet people by accident. Nothing is a coincidence. You are on a magnificent, brilliant, holy journey, and the tapestry is divine design and all life itself, all the moving parts. There are so many signs along the way, and the trick is to be aware of them all with an open heart and to be mindful of who you meet as you journey. I met Sister Jenna and I answered your call to come. And
Mm.
sometimes we need to remember to when the universe gives you something, when God gives you something, make sure you're listening with your heart, right? And
Yeah.
synchronicity and pure beauty is a part of God's great mystery and this fantastic plan. God has a
Mm.
plan, remember the blessing of life is life itself, and that's that joy I think you were talking about. So be sure to enjoy the journey as it blooms and enjoy the blooms. So,
Mhm.
and I just have to say this because we're recording, but my next show is going to be this is a very cool lady that used to run a very big dinner. It was called Live at Five in Canada, but she's a news anchor that ran a show for 15 years. She's interviewed everybody you can think of that's famous, but she kind of got tired of that after 15 years. And she's written this new book, From Showing Off to Showing Up. And
Mm.
I'm going to have her on next week after you, Sister Jenna. So this is who's following you. And she, in her book, has written actually a couple of chapters, including some of the story of our story. So I thought I'm trying to connect everything to, to love as I go. So, and then if you're
Mm.
interested, this is me and my work, and it's bekindness.com, and I'll put the website there for you, and I'll put Sister Jenna's website as well, so you can capture that. And
That was such a precious, precious experience. Thank you.
yes, you're so welcome. And I'm so grateful to just be able to sort of have this timeless time capsule for anyone that's
Mm.
going to tune into this at any particular point, because we have held the light of God today. And when you do that, those that are ready for this moment come, as you know. And thank you for just, holding my hands with love from your heart and soul. And I just want to say again, if you have a chance to purchase this book, it's a fantastic book. And I also want to just suggest if you're interested, can I ask you what the best way to get in touch with you is so that they know?
If you want to learn meditation anywhere around the world, go to brahmakumaris.org. If you would like to connect with me personally, you can go to americameditating.org and also listen to our radio show, America Meditating, which gives you a whole slew of beautiful, beautiful stories to help you get further along in life.
Beautiful. Well,
Thank
thank you.
you.
I can't thank you enough. I'm just so grateful. And as we go out, I have to say Om Shanti. That's just that's
Yes,
the best
Om
thing to
Shanti
say.
for sure.
Om Shanti.
Paul, thank you for what you've done today. It has touched my heart tremendously, and I'm sure for those who are viewing this will also tune into the authenticity and the sincerity and the truthfulness of such kinds of podcasts and stories and videos. So please stop investing in the world of illusion and begin to come more into the world of truth and light. My sweet brother Paul, thank you. Give a
You
big
just have
hug.
to
Ah, there's your
I have to
keyring, your
share.
Om
This is
Shanti.
I bought this. I bought this. Has been dingling in the corner
Yeah.
here, but it's like it
That's
wanted
for when
to.
you buy your mansion.
It wanted to be. Yeah, it was right. It wanted to be shown today, so that's the BK symbol, and it's beautiful.
Oh, that's
Yes,
great.
but
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so
much.
very much, and
Thank you.
lots of love, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Today's such a beautiful day. I'm feeling like a child again.